The screams echoed through the marble halls like a storm that refused to pass. Two tiny voices, filled with rage and heartbreak, tore through the silence of a mansion that had everything except peace. Nannies had quit. Specialists had failed. Even their own father, a powerful billionaire who controlled industries with a single phone call, stood helpless as his twin children cried uncontrollably, day after day, night after night. And then, on a day that started like every other disaster, a quiet child walked in and did something no one could have imagined. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected miracles, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this remind us why humanity still matters. The mansion stood in the heart of Connecticut, owned by Jonathan Carter, a man who had built an empire from nothing. He was known in boardrooms as ruthless, precise, and untouchable, but inside his home he was just a broken father. His wife had passed away 2 years earlier, leaving him alone to raise their twins, Oliver and Sophie. Since her death, something inside the children had shattered. Their laughter disappeared, their smiles faded, and slowly they became trapped in a cycle of uncontrollable emotional outbursts that no therapist or expert could explain. Jonathan tried everything: the best doctors, the finest childcare specialists, luxury therapies. Nothing worked. The children rejected everyone. They screamed, cried, and refused to connect with anyone who came near them. It wasn't just misbehavior, it was grief that had turned into something deeper, something untouchable. Meanwhile, across town lived Marcus Hale, a single father barely holding his life together. He worked 2 jobs, one as a janitor at a local school and another as a night cleaner at office buildings. Life had been cruel to him too. His wife had walked out years ago, leaving him to raise their daughter alone. But unlike Jonathan's children, Marcus's daughter, Ava, had learned to carry pain differently. Ava was quiet, observant, wise beyond her years. She didn't speak much, but when she did, her words carried a strange calmness that seemed to reach people in ways no one could explain. One afternoon, Marcus was assigned a temporary cleaning job at Jonathan Carter's estate. It was supposed to be just another shift: wipe floors, clean windows, stay invisible. Ava had no one to stay with that day, so Marcus had no choice but to bring her along. The moment they stepped into the mansion, the chaos hit them. The twins were in the middle of another meltdown. Staff rushed around helplessly. One nanny stood crying in the corner. Jonathan himself stood frozen, his face pale, his hands shaking slightly as he tried to calm his children, but they pushed him away. Marcus lowered his gaze, not wanting to get involved. He whispered to Ava to stay close and quiet, but Ava didn't move. Instead, she slowly walked forward. It happened so gently that no one noticed at first. No loud words, no sudden gestures, just a small girl stepping into a storm that adults couldn't control. She approached the twins, not with fear, not with hesitation, but with something else entirely: understanding. Oliver was screaming, throwing objects around, his face red with frustration. Sophie was curled on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Ava didn't try to stop them. She didn't raise her voice. She simply sat down on the floor, right between them. Then she did the unthinkable. She started humming. It wasn't a song anyone recognized. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was soft, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. A gentle melody, uneven at times, but filled with emotion that felt raw and real. At first, nothing changed. But then, Oliver's screams softened, not stopped, just softened. Sophie's sobbing slowed, just enough to notice the shift. The room grew still. Ava kept humming, her eyes closed as if she was somewhere else entirely. Her presence didn't demand attention, it invited peace. Within minutes, something unbelievable happened. The twins stopped crying, not completely at first. Small sniffles remained, but the storm was gone. In its place was silence, something that hadn't existed in that house for months. Jonathan couldn't move. His eyes were locked on the scene, his mind struggling to understand what he was witnessing. A child had done what no expert could. Ava slowly opened her eyes and looked at the twins, not with pity, but with quiet recognition, as if she understood their pain without needing it explained. From that day forward, everything began to change. Jonathan asked Marcus to return, not as a cleaner, but as someone who could bring Ava back. At first, Marcus hesitated. Pride, fear, uncertainty, it all held him back. But for Ava, it wasn't about money or status. She simply wanted to help. Day after day, Ava spent time with Oliver and Sophie. She didn't force conversations. She didn't try to fix them. She simply existed beside them, calm, patient, and present. Slowly, the twins began to respond. They laughed again, played again, even spoke about their mother, something they hadn't done since her passing. And Jonathan changed too. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to feel something other than control. He realized that no amount of wealth could replace genuine human connection. That healing didn't come from expertise alone, but from empathy, from shared pain, from quiet understanding. Marcus was eventually offered a permanent position, but more importantly, he was given dignity, respect, a chance to build a stable life for his daughter. But Ava never changed. She remained the same quiet, observant child who saw the world a little differently, who understood that sometimes the loudest pain doesn't need louder solutions, just a gentle presence. Before you reach the end, take a moment to comment. Do you believe that kindness alone can change a life? Your answer might inspire someone else today. As time passed, the mansion no longer echoed with screams. Instead, it filled with something far more powerful: laughter, healing, and hope. And it all began with a child who chose to sit in someone else's storm instead of running away. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stories like this remind us that even in the darkest moments, the smallest acts of kindness can create the biggest miracles. Because sometimes, the ones who save us are the ones no one was looking at.